The air inside the medical station was cold and still. Machines beeped, lights blinked, and in the center of the room, a tiny alien child lay on the table barely breathing. Her skin was silver blue, like morning frost. Her small chest rose and fell in weak, uneven movements. Her big purple eyes, once full of life, were now half closed, glazed with pain. Tubes were connected to her arms, her neck, and even her head, but none of it was working. 3 Virelli doctors stood around her, whispering in panic. One of them slammed his hands on the table. Her blood is collapsing. Nothing we try is holding. Another one shook his head. She has minutes left. We don't have the right plasma anymore. Near the wall, watching with wide eyes, stood a human man, Captain Aaron Holt. He was a science officer, not a medic, but he'd seen enough to know what was happening. The child was dying, and no one could stop it. Aaron clenched his fists. He had met the girl 2 days ago. She had laughed at his strange accent and tried to braid his short hair with her long silver fingers. She was just a child, barely 6 years old. Now she was dying. Isn't there anything else you can do? Aaron asked loudly, stepping closer. The doctors turned to him, frustrated. Human, one of them said, we do not share compatible biology. Your blood would be rejected by her system. She is not your kind. Aaron didn't step back. But has anyone tried before? Silence. The lead medic finally spoke. No, because it is madness. Aaron's voice dropped low. Well, maybe madness is all we have left. Across the room, a tall figure stood motionless. Serena, the child's mother. She was regal, with shimmering hair that floated slightly in the air, like it had a life of its own. Her armor had been stripped away, and now she stood in a plain gown. Her arms were folded tightly across her chest. Her face looked carved from stone, but her eyes were breaking. When Aaron looked at her, she didn't blink. She simply stared at the table, at her daughter, as if trying to freeze time. He stepped toward her. Let me try, he said softly. She finally moved her gaze to him. Why? She asked. Her voice was barely a whisper. She is not your blood, not your kind. You owe us nothing. Aaron looked back at the girl. I know, he said, but I'm still human. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Serena gave a small nod. The transfusion was done quickly. They didn't have time to test, to plan, or to wait. They took Aaron's. Blood dark red, warm, pulsing with human cells, and fed it through a special converter into the child's failing body. No one knew what would happen. One doctor watched the monitor. Another stood by with emergency tools. A third kept one hand on the child's chest, counting every heartbeat. Aaron sat nearby, pale but steady. A tube still connected to his arm. The first minute passed. Then 2. Then 5. She's stabilizing. The medic gasped. Aaron looked up, blinking. What? The child's breathing was stronger. Her skin, once pale and cold, began to show signs of warmth. Her heartbeat, shown on the screen, rose from 40 to 60, then 72, then 80. She's accepting it, the doctor whispered. The human blood, it's not being rejected. It's merging. Serena stepped forward, her hands shaking. She touched her daughter's hand. It was warm. Tears, clear and shining like starlight, rolled down her cheeks. Later that night, Aaron lay in the recovery room. His arm was bandaged. He felt weak, but it was a good kind of tired. The door opened. Serena entered, silent as a shadow. Asleep, she said, breathing strong. Dreaming, Aaron smiled. Good. She deserves 1,000 dreams. Serena didn't move closer. She stood near the door, looking at him strangely. You gave part of yourself, she said. And it became part of her. Aaron nodded. That's what humans do. She tilted her head. No, that is not what others do. There was a pause. Then, in a voice that felt almost too soft for someone so proud, she said, "You saved my child. On Virelli, that makes you more than a hero." Aaron raised an eyebrow. "What does it make me?" She didn't answer. She just watched him dot, and her eyes held something strange. Not just gratitude. Something else. Curiosity. Intensity. A bond. Aaron looked away, feeling her gaze like heat on his skin. "Try to rest," she said, turning away. She opened the door. Paused. Then sighed. "You may not understand our customs, but this gift you gave, it will not be forgotten, nor will it go unanswered." And she was gone. The next morning, the base was buzzing with quiet voices. Aliens and humans alike whispered about what had happened. Some were amazed, some were confused, some were afraid. Human DNA merged with hers? Impossible. What does it mean for future contact? Did it change her? Iran walked through the hallway, nodding politely to others. But their stares followed him like ghosts. At the end of the hall, he saw Zyrina waiting. She didn't speak, just motioned for him to follow. They walked into the garden's strange glowing trees and floating flowers, swayed gently in the air. "She wants to see you," Zyrina said. Aaron's chest tightened. "Is she?" "She is stronger," Zyrina said, "but different." He followed her to a small room where the girl was sitting up, smiling sleepily. When she saw Aaron, her face lit up. She held out her hand. "Dada," she whispered. Aaron froze. He looked at Zyrina. She said nothing, just smiled softly. But something in her eyes had changed. A decision had been made, and it had nothing to do with medicine. Aaron could feel her eyes, even when she wasn't in the room. Even when she wasn't speaking. She was watching, and he didn't know why. It started the day after the transfusion. Aaron woke up early, still sore, but strong enough to walk again. He got dressed and went to the common dining area. A few scientists were chatting. One nodded at him. Another whispered something as he passed. But it wasn't them, he noticed. It was her. Rena. She stood near the back wall, holding a cup of some glowing blue liquid. She was dressed in a soft robe made of thin silver threads. Her hair moved in slow waves, floating behind her as if underwater. She didn't blink. She didn't smile. She just stared, right at him. Aaron sat down and pretended not to see her, but his heart beat faster. He didn't understand it. She wasn't angry. That much was clear. She wasn't afraid either. No. This was something else. Like she was studying him, like he was a puzzle she couldn't solve. Later that day, he went to the medical wing to check on the child Mira. Her name was. She was sitting up now, eating a small glowing fruit. Her smile was soft. Her skin had more color. "Aaron," she said brightly. Her voice was weak but sweet. "You came again." He smiled and sat beside her. "You're looking much better, little star." "I feel warm now," she said. "Not cold, not scared." She looked at her hand. "Your blood is inside me, right?" He nodded. "Yes," she giggled. "Does that make us family?" Aaron chuckled. "Maybe space family." Then he heard the door open behind him. Zyrina entered. Silent, graceful. And once again, watching. In the next few days, it became clearer. She was everywhere. She didn't follow him like a stalker. She didn't say much. But whenever he was in the gardens, she appeared. When he was walking back to his quarters, she was passing by every time. When he was in the gym, she'd enter and pretend to adjust something, only to stand there and observe. At first, Aaron brushed it off. Maybe it was just coincidence. Maybe she was just thankful. Maybe she didn't understand personal space. But then, It became more. One night, he sat in his room, trying to rest. He had dimmed the lights, and a soft piece of music from Earth played through the speakers. Something calm, something familiar. And the chime rang at his door. He stood, confused. Number. One usually visited him this late. He opened it, and there she was. Shirina. She wore a long, dark blue cloak that shimmered in the light. Her eyes, violet and glowing faintly, didn't blink. "Can I speak with you?" she asked. Aaron hesitated. Then stepped aside. "Of course." She entered slowly, looking around. "Strange room," she said softly. "So empty, so clean." "That's just the human way," he said with a half-smile. "We like walls and corners." She turned toward him. "No, you like control." Aaron raised an eyebrow. "Is that a bad thing?" She didn't answer. Instead, she walked closer. Not threatening, just calm, focused. "Your blood is changing her," Zerina said. Aaron nodded. "They told me. She speaks faster now. Learns quicker. Her skin has patterns we've never seen before. It's as if your DNA opened something inside her." Aaron felt a chill. "I didn't mean for that to happen." "But it did," Zerina said. "You gave something no one else could." "Not even her own kind." He swallowed. "Why are you really here?" he asked. Zerina paused. Then she spoke quietly. "On my world, when someone saves your child, your bloodline must honor that gift." Aaron frowned. "Honor how?" She stepped even closer. "By offering ours in return." His voice dropped. "What does that mean?" Zerina's voice remained soft. "You gave life. Now I must give legacy." The room went silent. Aaron took a step back. "You mean you want—" "I do not want it," she interrupted gently. "The bond already exists. You feel it. I feel it. So does she." He stared at her. "I'm not a tool. I'm not a donor farm." Zerina's face did not change. "I know. That's why I came alone. I am not forcing you. I am inviting you." Aaron ran a hand through his hair. "This is insane. You don't even know me." "I know what you did," she said. "And I know what she's becoming because of you. That is more than enough." He looked down. His hands were shaking slightly. "I need time." She gave a small nod. "I will wait, but not forever. Our people believe in action, not silence." She turned and left. The door hissed closed behind her. And Aaron sat on the edge of his bed, heart racing, thoughts spinning. The next day, things only got stranger. Asterisk. In the main hallway, several Virelli leaders walked past him and nodded respectfully. A few of them even bowed. One offered him a folded cloth with a glowing symbol on it. Aaron blinked. "What's this?" "It's a sigil," the alien said. "A mark of bond. You are being watched with interest, human." Aaron's hands tightened. He wasn't just being watched, he was being evaluated. That night, as he lay in bed, Myra's voice echoed in his memory. "Does that make us family?" It had been a simple question, but now it felt like a prophecy. He closed his eyes. He had come on a peaceful science mission. Now, he might be tied to something much larger. Much deeper. And much more permanent. Asterisk. Aaron froze. Zerina was standing in the doorway of his room again. Only this time, she didn't wait for permission to enter. She stepped in, slowly, silently, like something ancient and graceful. But what struck Aaron the most was this. She wasn't here as a grateful mother anymore. She was here for something else. The air in his room felt thick, heavy. Zerina wore a dark flowing garment that shimmered, like a night sky filled with stars. Her silver blue skin glowed softly in the dim light, and her eyes locked with Aaron's the moment she stepped forward. "You said you needed time," she said calmly. Aaron nodded, standing from the edge of His bed, I did, still do. Zarina looked around the room once again. Her eyes moved over the walls, the bed, the desk, the books stacked beside his lamp. You humans surround yourselves with things, she said softly. But when something real enters your life, you hesitate. Aaron looked at her with tired eyes. It's not that simple. I didn't expect any of this. I saved Myra because I could, not because I wanted a reward. Or a mate. Zarina tilted her head. But in saving her, you changed more than blood. You changed fate. You bonded with her. You tied yourself to us. He didn't reply, so she kept speaking. In Virelli culture, when a warrior saves a child with their own blood, it creates a living legacy. It means the warrior must be honored, protected, and offered continuation. Continuation? Aaron repeated. She, Rena, stepped closer. It means you must be given the chance to extend your bloodline. With honor, with care, with choice. And invitation. Her voice dropped to almost a whisper. You are no longer just a visitor to our world. You are part of it now. Aaron turned away, running a hand through his hair. His chest felt tight. His mind raced. I didn't come here to start a family. I didn't come to mate with someone I just met. This is all too fast. I understand your fear, Zarina said. But I ask you to look past it. She stepped forward again, close enough now that he could see the fine lines in her skin, the tiny silver patterns that pulsed like veins under moonlight. She reached out and gently placed a hand on his chest. You gave life, she whispered. Now let me give mine. Aaron's breath caught in his throat. Her hand was warm. Not hot, not cold, just warm, like trust, like safety. She wasn't pushing him. She wasn't demanding. She was offering not with power, but with presence. And somehow that scared him more. Why me? Aaron asked, voice cracking. Why not someone else? Because no one else saved my daughter, she said. Because no one else risked their blood when others gave up. She looked him in the eyes, steady and unwavering. And because Myra calls you Da. That was not taught. It came from instinct. Aaron swallowed hard. He didn't know what to say, so Zarina said it for him. I am not asking for ownership, she said gently. I am asking for bond, not just for Myra, but for us. Aaron looked away. This can't be normal. A human. And a Virelli. She gave the smallest smile. No, it is not normal. It is rare, sacred, dangerous. But it is also possible. There was silence. Then she whispered, I have chosen you, Aaron Holt, but I will not chain you. She turned to leave, her long hair brushing softly over her shoulders as she walked toward the door. Aaron stared at her back. His heart beat faster. He knew, deep down, that if she walked out that door now, this moment would never return. Not like this. Not with this quiet, open grace. So he spoke. Wait. She paused, turned slightly. Aaron took a breath. If I accept, I want to know who you are. Not just Mira's mother. Not just a Virelli. I want to know you. Zarina turned. Fully. And for the first time. She smiled. A real smile. Small. But full of warmth. Then asked. They sat together for hours. She told him of her world-floating cities above crystal lakes, where mothers raise children in shared families, where bloodlines are not about power, but harmony. She spoke of her past, how she was once a pilot, then a soldier, then a protector of life. She had lost a mate years ago in the border war with the Zevari. She had raised Mira, alone since birth. And when Myra fell sick, Zarina had prepared to die with her. Until a human bled for them both. Aaron listened to every word, and slowly, something shifted in him. She wasn't just watching him anymore. She was sharing herself, piece by piece. Not demanding, not expecting. Just opening. Hours later, the lights were low. Zyrina stood, soft and calm. She reached out once more and placed her palm on his chest. You are free to walk away, she said gently. But if you stay, you will not walk alone again. Aaron looked up into her eyes, and this time, he didn't look away. The chamber doors slid open with a deep metallic sound. Aaron stood frozen. Inside the circular room, 5 tall alien figures sat in silence, leaders of the Virelli. Their faces were calm, but their eyes burned with something else. Curiosity, pressure. And behind it all, purpose. Aaron had been summoned. And this was no casual meeting. It started with a message. Early that morning, just after sunrise, Aaron received a quiet knock on his door. A young Virelli attendant stood outside, holding a sealed scroll-like device. By request of the council, she said. Aaron opened it. Inside was a glowing symbol, the seal of the High House of Life. 3 words appeared. Beneath it, we request your presence. Aaron felt his chest tighten. He knew what this meant. They weren't just grateful anymore. They wanted something. Now, standing in the center of the council hall, Aaron tried to stay calm. The Virelli leaders were seated in high-backed thrones made of polished crystal. They wore ceremonial robes that shimmered with shifting colors like liquid fire. The room itself was domed, the ceiling above glowing with patterns like a living sky. No one had spoken yet. Aaron waited. Then the eldest among them leaned forward. His name was Keller, and his voice was smooth and deep like ancient stone. You are the one who gave blood? He said. Aaron nodded once. I am. Keller's eyes narrowed. You saved the daughter of Zyrina, and in doing so, created what we call a genetic merge. Aaron said nothing. Another council member spoke, a tall female with markings like vines across her face. This merge has caused unexpected results. The child is adapting, growing. Her mind and body show signs of rapid evolution. Aaron frowned. Is that bad? Keller shook his head slowly. No, it is powerful. It is rare, and it is valuable. Aaron felt cold suddenly. Valuable. The word hit him in the chest. What are you asking? He said carefully. A third voice answered. From his left, not asking, hoping. Another leaned forward. Your human genes are changing what we thought was possible for our kind. They awaken old traits, strengths lost in time. Then the female said it plainly. We want to preserve what you carry. Aaron blinked. You want more of my blood? Keller answered. More than that. We want your line to continue. Not just with one child, but many. The room went still. Aaron's heart pounded. You want me to become some kind of breeding tool? He asked, voice rising slightly. We want legacy, Keller replied, not slavery. You would be treated with respect, another added. Honored, protected. You may choose partners. Zyrina, of course, is your first bond. But there are others willing, others ready. Aaron stepped back slightly. I'm not a prize. I'm not here for this. Keller raised a hand. You are not forced. But you must understand what you've created with Myra is not small. It could lead to a stronger Virelli future. Aaron looked at them all. He could feel the weight in their words. It wasn't just admiration anymore. It was expectation. And behind their calm faces, he sensed something. Deeper. Desperation. That night, Aaron stood on the balcony of the guest quarters. The alien sky above him shimmered with 3 moons and hundreds of stars. He was quiet. His thoughts raced. Everything had changed so fast. He had only come on a peaceful mission to study, to learn. Now, he was being asked to change the future of a species. The door behind him opened. He didn't turn, but he knew the steps, soft, slow, familiar. It was Zyrina. She stood beside him without speaking for a moment. Then, gently, "They called you." Aaron nodded. "They want my genes, my future, my life." Zyrina looked at the stars. "They want survival." "And what do you want?" Aaron asked, turning to her. Asterisk, she didn't answer right away. Then finally she said, "I want what Mira already feels. Safety. I want her to have a world where no child is left to die." He stared at her. "And I'm the key to that?" "You are the beginning," she said. Aaron sighed. "And if I say no?" Zyrina's eyes didn't flinch. "Then they'll be disappointed, but I will still be grateful. And Myra will still call you Dada. That will never change." Karan turned away again, leaning on the railing. He didn't know what to say. His mind was torn, his heart confused. But one thing was clear. The Varelli weren't just asking for help. They were asking him to belong. Asterisk, the next morning, Aaron woke with a decision still unmade. But a new message had arrived. This time, it wasn't from the council. It was from Mira. A small, hand-drawn note. Inside were just 2 sentences, written in shaky alien letters, but clear. "You saved me. Now stay with us. I want a brother." Aaron stared at the words, and for the first time, he didn't feel pressure. He felt home. Asterisk, Aaron tapped his communicator. "No." Signal. He tried again. Still nothing. Then he checked the console. Screen near his bed. External communications. Disabled. He blinked, slowly. Carefully. Then he sat down and whispered to himself. "Wait, am I a guest here or a prisoner?" The sun had barely risen over the glass towers of the Varelli city. Birds made of shimmering feathers flew overhead, leaving light trails in the sky. But inside Aaron's quarters, the mood was dark. He had tried 3 different ways to contact the human science. Vessel orbiting above the planet. No messages were going out. No replies were coming in. At first, he thought it was a technical glitch, but now it was clear. Someone had cut him off. He left his room and walked the long silver hallway toward the main control chamber. 2 Varelli guards stood outside, tall, armored, silent. As Aaron approached, they moved into his path. "I need to speak to someone from Earth," he said. "Something's wrong with my comm." One of the guards responded flatly. "Communications are temporarily restricted." Aaron frowned. "Why?" "The council is reviewing off-world contact." "For how long?" No answer. Aaron's jaw tightened. "This is my mission. My people are waiting." Still, the guards did not move. Then one of them said, "Please return to your chamber." Aaron didn't move, but his mind raced. He turned around and walked back down the hallway. But instead of going to his quarters, he took a sharp left into the observation wing. It was quiet. Empty. He found a small console there, tucked under the Starlight View dome. He tapped the panel. Password locked. He tried the default command. Access denied. He tried the emergency override code the humans had created for safety. Still denied. He stared at the screen. They had locked him out. Completely. Later that day, he walked the inner gardens. The air smelled of crystal flowers and warm wind. But it felt fake, now. Like a cage, painted to look like paradise. Then he saw her Zyrina kneeling beside a row of glowing plants, trimming their edges with a quiet smile. She looked up and noticed the tightness in his face. "You found out," she said. Aaron nodded slowly. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked. Zyrina stood. "Because I didn't know until this morning. The council fears that you may wish to leave. Before your choice is clear." "My choice is clear," Aaron said sharply. "I help Myra. I care about her. Maybe even about you. But I'm not property." Zyrina didn't flinch. "You are not, but you are rare. And rare things are not easily let go. Aaron stared at her. So what now? They keep me here like a rare animal? Do I wait until they assign me another mate? Another legacy task? No, she said, softly. They may restrict your path, but they cannot control your heart. That's not enough, Aaron whispered. That night, he planned an escape, not a full runaway, just a message. He knew there was a relay terminal in the Varelli, hangar bay used for cargo logs. It wasn't meant for direct communication, but if he accessed the diagnostic channel, he might send a burst message to orbit, something short, enough to say, still alive, being held. Need answers. He waited until deep night, when the guards rotated shifts. He moved fast and quiet, sticking to the shadows of the marble hulls at the edge of the hangar tunnel. He paused, listening, silence, he stepped inside. The bay was empty, giant windows overlooked the stars. Ships rested in silence, shining like silver birds. He slipped to the side console, typed fast. Command. Lines opened, his fingers danced. Send diagnostic. Yes, embed manual message. Why he typed. Aaron halt. Varelli base. Communication cut. Council interference. Still alive. He hit send. The screen blinked, then it froze, then warning, transmission. Blocked, he froze, then the lights turned red, and a voice said, unauthorized signal attempt detected. Council notified. Aaron turned to run, but they were already there, too. Guards. They didn't draw weapons. They didn't yell. They simply stood in front of him and said, escape is not allowed. Back in his chamber, Aaron sat on his bed. The guards stood outside now openly. He wasn't just being watched anymore. He was contained. The air in the room felt tighter. He leaned forward and held his head in his hands. How did it come to this? He had saved a child's life. Now he was locked. Away like a secret, like a treasure, or a threat. The door slid open again. He looked. Up, Zyrina entered slowly. She didn't speak, she just walked over and sat beside him. He didn't stop her. For a long moment, they both said nothing, and Aaron spoke. First, they don't see a man. They see a tool. She nodded. Yes. And you? She looked at him with steady eyes. I see a soul. He turned to her, surprised. I came here to learn, to help, not to be trapped. And yet, she said, the blood you gave changed everything. Sometimes, one gift is too powerful to give without a price. Aaron exhaled hard. What now? She reached into her robe and handed him a crystal shard. Hidden channel. Old tech, not blocked. He looked at her in shock. You're helping me? I'm helping you choose, not be chosen. That night, Aaron stared out at the stars again. He held the shard in his hand, one signal, one chance, but deep inside, he still didn't know what he would choose. Freedom? Or something that looked a lot like love. Aaron turned as the small voice called out, Dad. He stopped breathing for a moment, It wasn't a mistake, it wasn't just a sound. The alien child, Mira, was awake, sitting up, and she had spoken his name, not just with her lips, but with something far deeper. The night had been long. Aaron hadn't slept. The crystal shard given by Zyrina sat untouched on the table. One signal, one message, one escape, but his heart was elsewhere. The moment Myra's voice echoed in his mind, everything else blurred. He rushed to the medical wing. The guards didn't stop him. The doors opened automatically. Inside, he saw her Myra propped up on soft pillows, her skin glowing with new patterns of light. She looked stronger, brighter, almost more human. And when she saw him, her face lit up. Her little arms reached out. Dada, she said again, louder. Aaron felt his knees weaken. He moved toward her slowly, almost afraid it was a dream. But it wasn't. She smiled wide. And in that moment, every decision, every fear faded into silence. He sat beside her, brushing a strand of her silver hair behind her ear. "You're speaking now?" he asked gently. Myra giggled. "Mama said my blood is strong, that it came from you." He nodded. "Some of it, yes." She looked down at her glowing hands. "I feel warm all the time now, like the stars are inside me." Aaron smiled, blinking. Away a sudden tear. "You always had stars inside you, little one." She looked at him again. "Will you stay?" He hesitated. "I don't know." She tilted her head, confused. "But you're my Dada." Aaron looked away. The weight of her words was crushing. Not because she was wrong, but because, deep inside, he didn't want to leave her either. Zyrina entered a few minutes later. She stood at the door, watching them with quiet eyes. Myra smiled brightly. "Mama, look, he came back." Zyrina walked over, sat beside them, and rested her hand gently on Myra's shoulder. "She has changed faster than expected," she said. Aaron nodded slowly. "She doesn't just look stronger. She feels different." "She is," Zyrina replied. "Your blood unlocked something buried in us. Long ago. Something powerful." Aaron leaned back. "That's what the council wants. To use it. Spread it." "Yes," she said softly. "But Myra isn't a tool. She is a bridge." Aaron raised an eyebrow. "Between what?" "Between you and me," she said. "Between Earth and Virelli. Between what we were and what we could be." He stared at her. She wasn't trying to convince him any more. She was simply believing. Later that day, Aaron walked the outer terrace of the tower. The sun was setting over a crystal lake far below. He could see the reflection of the moons rising in the water. Footsteps approached behind him. Not Shirina. Not guards. A human. Dr. Hayes, one of the Earth scientists who had come weeks before, who had gone quiet after Myra's sickness. Aaron turned, surprised. "You?" he said. "Where have you been?" Hayes looked tired. "Working with the Virelli Council. They kept me close, but also watched." Aaron crossed his arms. "Did you know they blocked my comms?" "I did," Hayes said quietly. "And I didn't like it. But I've seen what's happening, Aaron. Mira's DNA is changing everything. You saved her, yes, but more than that, you made something new." Aaron looked at him carefully. "So what now?" Hayes shrugged. "They want your cooperation, peacefully if possible. But if not, they'll find other ways." Aaron's face darkened. "What does that mean?" "It means," Hayes said, carefully, "that Myra may be the first, but she won't be the last." Aaron looked back at the horizon. "I won't be used." Hayes nodded. "Then make your stand, but do it with purpose." That night, Aaron sat with Mira again. She was drawing something with glowing chalk circles. Stars, ships, and two stick figures holding hands. "Who's this?" he asked. She pointed. "You." "And this, Mama?" Aaron smiled. Then Mira leaned in and whispered, "I don't want anyone else's blood. Just yours." His heart nearly broke. "You'll never need anyone else's," he said softly. "Not as long as I'm here." The next morning, Aaron stood before the council. He had called the meeting himself. Zyrina stood beside him. Myra was watching from above, safe behind a glass wall, waving. The council looked curious, but also cautious. Aaron took a breath. "I've made my choice," he said. The room went silent. "I'm not leaving." "Not yet. Not because you asked, but because she did." He pointed toward the child behind the glass. "But let me be clear, this is not a contract. This is not a program. If you want my future, you respect my freedom. If you want my blood, you honor my heart." Keller's expression shifted, slightly surprised, but not angry. Aaron continued. Myra is not an experiment. She is my daughter. Chosen, not born. I stay for her, for Zyrina, and maybe for something greater. There was a long silence. Then Keller slowly stood. Then you are no longer an outsider. He raised a hand. You are Virelli. By blood, by bond, and by choice. Aaron turned to leave. Zyrina met his eyes. And in that moment, nothing else mattered. Not war. Not DNA. Not politics. Just a man. A woman. And the child whose voice had changed everything. Aaron stood at the edge of the alien balcony, watching the Yalani sunrise over Virelli for the 100th time. But this time was different, because this time he was not alone. Small footsteps ran up behind him. Tiny fingers grabbed his hand, and a soft voice said, Come see. Da. She's here. It had been 6 months since Aaron chose to stay. Since that day in the council chamber. Everything had changed. He was no longer a guest. No longer a science officer. He was something else. Now, a father, a bondmate, a bridge between two worlds. The Virelli kept their word. They didn't force him into anything. They gave him freedom. And space. But also respect. And more than that, trust. He lived now in a domed garden home, not far from the Virelli capital. A house was built with both cultures in mind. Earth-style walls and furniture, mixed with flowing energy lights and floating panels, native to Virelli design. He grew used to the dual moons, the scent of crystal air, the sound of birds that chirped, in tones humans couldn't sing. And every morning, Myra ran to him. Dada, look what I made. Dada, can you fly me again? Dada, did you know I can see in the dark now? Aaron laughed more in those 6 months than he had in years. Joy was light. Her mind was brilliant. She was becoming something more. Zyrina remained close, but not controlling. She let Aaron move at his pace, but the bond between them grew slowly, like vines around sunlight. One evening, as they sat by the glowing pond outside their home, she looked at him and said, Do you know why she called you Dada on the first day? He smiled. I thought it was just instinct. Zyrina shook her head. She had never spoken that word before, not even for me. Aaron's smile faded slightly. Then why? Zyrina touched the water and watched it ripple, because children sometimes see the truth before adults do. And now today, Myra had run up to him with eyes glowing brighter than ever. She's here, she said again, pulling his hand. Aaron raised an eyebrow. Who's here? Myra grinned. Come. She pulled him through the garden, past the blossom trees, down the slope. Toward the family hall, Zyrina was standing outside, waiting. Her posture was calm, but her face was glowing with pride. Aaron walked up beside her. What's going on? Zyrina turned slightly. She's ready. Aaron's eyes widened. They entered together. Inside the room, elders and young ones gathered in silence. In the center, Myra stood, wearing a robe that shimmered like a living nebula. She stood proud. Her silver hair, braided with human cloth and Virelli crystals. Aaron felt something tighten in his chest. This was not the small girl he had saved. This was the child who would shape tomorrow. A breach child, born of two worlds, built on love, not blood alone. The room grew quiet. Myra stepped forward and began to speak. I am Myra Holt Virelli, she said clearly. Born of Mother Zyrina, brought to life by Dada Aaron Holt. Some elders nodded, others whispered. Myra continued. I was once dying. Now I live with the blood of stars. She looked at Aaron. And I live because he gave me not just blood, but a home, a heart, a name. Then, holding up a glowing stone, she said, I choose to be the first of the new line, human and Virelli, together. Everyone stood in silent awe. Even the council had come to witness it. Keller watched from the back, his eyes thoughtful. Later that evening, as the sun dipped beneath the twin ridges and the sky turned violet and gold, Erin sat beside Mira on the soft stone steps. She leaned against him. "Do you think other humans will come?" she asked. He nodded. "One day. And you'll help them understand." She smiled sleepily. "I like being different." Erin smiled back. "You're not just different, little star. You're one of a kind." She blinked. "Will I always have your blood?" "You'll always have my love," he said softly. "And that's stronger than blood." Inside, Zyrina watched them through the window. Small smile on her lips. She wasn't just watching anymore. She was remembering the war, the fear, the hopeless moment in the awe. Med-Bay and the human who stepped forward, not as a hero, but as a father. That night, as stars filled the sky above Virelli, Erin wrote a message into his journal. "This wasn't the mission I planned, but it became the life I never knew I wanted. I gave one drop of blood and gained an entire lineage. Her name is Myra. And with her, my story truly begins." The end. Asterisk.